is the Patriot.
Hey, this is Skylar.
My name's the Devil's Rejects.
I'm the big-time wrestling heavyweight champion, Flex Armstrong.
I'm the Connected
Rusev Day every day?
It's Rusev Day every day.
Exactly.
And you're watching the Wrestling Connection.
And you're watching Wrestling Connection.
And watch the Wrestling Connection.
You're watching the Wrestling Connection.
I hear that women gain immortality from licking the feet of babies.
What? Say.
Be connected, get connected, and stay connected, brothers.
Allison.
Hello, Allison, and welcome to the
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
Let's get the big. Oh, of course, we have the official presentation. Thank you.
Get connected, be evil, or die.
Moving on.
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
And welcome to episode 246 of the most must-see, multi-award-winning show to ever hit the Bedford TV airwaves, or any airwaves for that matter. North, south, east, west, backwards, frontwards, diagonally, sideways, any which way you look at it, all around the world. The Wrestling Connection. I am your host, your connection to the wrestling world, the pontiff of the pro wrestling populace, the formerly fedorable felon himself, the four-time, I seem to forget, Big Four pay-per-view champion, Mr. Ken Hill, delivering all the news to you in professional wrestling today. And alongside me, as always,
The legacy of Team Calvin, the consumer of wrestling knowledge, the breaker of Ken's, the formerly multi-title title holder, who is going for the gold again. I am, once again, the prize fighter of the Wrestling Connection.
the exciting MC of our entertaining ensemble cast.
Very true.
Yes.
Dan Kaufman is here as well, and as you said, we are bringing news from all of wrestling
From
today.
all walks of wrestling life. And today we bring some news from you from parts unknown. And no, we're not talking about from wherever Kane and the Missing Link and the Boogeyman are from. But no, we're talking about a possible new promotion that may well be coming stateside within the next year. I am, of course, talking about the Elite. The Elite. The Elite. The Elite, that is Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and one American the American Nightmare himself, the legacy of the Rhodes family, Cody Rhodes. Now, of course, you know these four as the Elite, formerly of the Bullet Club, now their own separate group, their own separate faction. They've been making waves over the last couple of years, not just, with all the inter-promotional storylines and whatnot, performances, Cody versus Omega versus the Young Bucks, Omega and Ibushi reforming the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks. Basically, all this inter-promotion, all these different inter-promotional matches and inter-brand wars. But now they are seriously considering starting their own promotion after the critical success of their all-in pay-per-view.
30 minutes sellout, tons of surprises, Jericho making an appearance, and no one expected it to go over as well as it did. And then it just blew expectations out of the water.
Right, financially and critically, it's a very successful pay-per-view. Although it did not bring in a huge number of views. Give me excuse. Their first time out, you're not gonna bat 1,000. but all in all, a very successful venture. And now they're taking things to the next step. They're thinking about their own promotion, All Elite Wrestling.
Still don't like the name. I still think it should be All Wrestling Elite.
Aww.
Yep.
Well. Anyway, today we are looking at the pros and cons. We're looking at the highs and lows of a new potential wrestling brand on the American market. What that means for other independent promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, but also what it means for the big wig, WWE. How does Vince view this competition? Is he taking it seriously? Is he laughing it off, or something? Or is he just keeping a cautious eye on it? Now, well, let's start out, with its origins. How this all come about? Who could the Bucks have possibly talked to? Because obviously, even though they are very successful, they are not nearly well enough off to consider starting their own big name promotion. They need the financial backing. So who do they go to? Someone with a net worth of, say, $7.1 billion.
They knew who to go to.
Co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, along his son Tony.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about one Shahid Khan.
Do we have that picture? Shahid Khan?
Shahid and his son Tony.
Thank you.
Okay, you see Shahid's on the right, Tony's on the left. Now, the irony in all this, now the go-to guy for this is actually Tony, his son, because Tony is a huge wrestling fan, follows a number of wrestlers, including Cody and the Young Bucks, on Twitter, on social media. He's very well connected among those in the wrestling industry. So he was the one who went to his father, convinced him, and is convincing him to put up the money to fund AEW wrestling. Now, I'm all for this. Now, the big pro right here is the fact that you have someone in shop.
So, first off, you said you studied their net worth, and it's 7.1 billion. That's amazing. How much is Vince worth? Because you did look that up as well.
I did look this up. I tried to look up the most recent amount that Vince is worth. Now originally he wasn't on the Forbes 400 because of declining sales, but since stock went up earlier this year, which I'm still kicking myself for, and didn't get in on that.
Dean, no. Sorry.
See, Dean's upset for it, right too. He did what most.
Dean fell victim to contamination.
Exactly. I was going to say he actually fell victim to, like most stock analysts, seeing their savings go away, and he took the leap of faith.
The leap of faith. Very true. So, because of the stocks going up, Vince is worth
$3.3 billion.
That is insane amounts of money, but still pales in comparison to who Cody and the Young Bucks have gone to.
Purportedly. Now, we don't know for certain.
This is all alleged. This is all speculation.
All alleged. Now, what lends credence to this, though, is the fact that there have been several copyrights and trademarks filed concerning All Elite Wrestling.
Very true.
Of course, there's the name itself, AEW, All Elite Wrestling. There's also All Elite Wrestling, All Out.
The All Out picture?
Do we have All Out?
There it is.
There we go. There you see that.
And which could be a normal pay-per-view.
It could be a pay-per-view.
It could be a possible weekly show.
Well, actually, funny
because they do have another one that they did.
Tuesday Night Dynamite, which we don't have a picture for it, but they do have the name trademark. There's also another pay-per-view.
But the last one that they trademarked was one that they teased at the end of All In, because they said, we'll do it again, double or nothing.
Right. So thus we had AEW.
Double or nothing.
Double or nothing. There you go.
Never know. Those are good names.
No, they're very good names. It's a nice take on the fact that they're taking a gamble here. Even if they're working with someone else's money, it's still a gamble that they're taking right here, going up against not only other indie promotions like New Japan, like Ring of Honor, like Impact, like Lucha Underground, even the up-and-coming Aero Lucha, which is supposed to be coming in early 2019, you're going up against WWE.
Yes,
That's a big name that's firmly entrenched itself in pro wrestling.
It's
history,
It is
last 30
interesting.
years.
Yeah, it is interesting. Tuesday Night Dynamite, because if this all happens and it's supposedly going to happen next year, with the deal with Fox, SmackDown, which is on Tuesdays, is actually going to be moved to Fridays, which opens up the slot for them to be unopposed, as it were.
Right. So they'd be running unopposed. There'd be no competition for them on Tuesdays, because the deal with Fox specifically states we want this show live on Fridays. We don't want it. Well, I mean, no, yeah, they do want it live.
Mm-hmm.
They want it live. They don't want it taped, because they feel like Friday is a more premier night.
Premier night, right before weekends. Therefore, people can be awake to watch.
Of course, TGIF, better for ratings that way. So yeah, I mean, it would work for WWE with the Fox deal. It would especially work for AEW, having an open Tuesday night slot. I think it'd be perfect.
Absolutely.
Now I mentioned WWE having been firmly entrenched at the top of pro wrestling royalty, pro wrestling promotions.
Oh yeah, ever since the buyout of WCW, nothing could even come close.
Nothing's touched it.
I mean, TNA.
Well,
they tried.
I mean, they
came
tried,
out,
but then
they tried doing what Vince did, which is eating up all the wrestlers that had left the company for one reason or another. But unfortunately, the way I see it is they failed because they were still in the same mindset as WWE.
And they fell into the same foibles as WCW, having an overdependence on former WWE stars.
Yes.
Which unfortunately, when Dixie in charge, she was very short-sighted. She couldn't see that, okay, as good as it was having all these veteran wrestlers in the promotion, she had to use them to help establish the homegrown talent that had already been cultivated on TNA. When she didn't do that, and instead put the older stars over, it slowly but surely drove away a lot of fans.
Which is a real shame when you consider the sheer amount of talent that's come out of TNA / Impact.
AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian.
Samoa Joe got a bigger name on a much more televised screen. Jay Lethal got a bigger name on a televised screen.
Eric Young.
Now Eric Young, absolutely. Bobby Roode. I mean, considering what he's doing now, I'm sure he might want to go back.
Right. So again, TNA ended up becoming its own worst enemy to the point that no one took it seriously, let alone as serious competition for WWE. That's the pitfall that all elite wrestling has to avoid.
Yes.
It's good to have established talents, but if you bring in too many top names, eventually it's gonna
Well, when you bring in
not enough foundation,
especially when you bring in top names, that means you got to pay their wages,
Exactly.
their fees.
Right,
which is going to be way higher.
If you put too much on top, not enough in the foundation, it all collapses. It all implodes on itself. So that's the one thing. That's the one con. Okay, avoid falling into the same pitfalls that TNA did trying to compete with WWE. The mistake was trying to compete with them to begin with.
Yes.
There was no way they were ever going to be able to. You can't even compare TNA going up against WWE as like when in the Monday Night Wars. There's no comparison. So,
but if they do what the Impact ended up doing, Ring of Honor are doing, New Japan are doing, it's the collection of these smaller indie promotions, the sharing of talent.
Right.
And not banning the names of these promotions from their broadcasting.
Right, because something that WWE does that, I mean, you and I have found so annoying over the years is that they're so inconsistent with how they acknowledge one program but blatantly ignore another. Of course, they'll acknowledge New Japan Pro Wrestling for like the careers of AJ Styles and the Good Brothers, but when it comes to his time in Impact Wrestling and TNA, they just flat out ignore it.
First off, they'll never mention the name Impact, not once. They'll have TNA named once or twice, maybe in a blue moon, but TNA no longer exists. Therefore, it's okay in their eyes to say it.
Very true.
I mean, Jeff Jarrett's in the Hall of Fame. How much you want to bet they didn't say that he started that?
I mean, you have to overlook the one fact that he took his father's money and started TNA. Mm-hmm. But that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole different story.
All right, so back to AEW here.
Yes.
All right, so again, the con there, avoid the same pitfalls that TNA and WCW did.
Yeah.
It's good to have a few big names, but remember that you're bringing them in to help establish your homegrown talent. You're not looking to give them a handout. You're not looking to give them another boost at fame. Maybe they get a nice little main event run. Maybe it's reward for helping put over other talents. But for the most part, they are there to help cultivate the future of wrestling.
Very true.
Jericho knows that all too well.
Jericho has...
He knows the score.
Yep. Speaking of which, do we have the picture of Jericho and JR?
Actually, yes. Now, one big rumor that JR has gone out of his way to dissuade people from believing in is that supposedly Jericho and JR have some... Do we have the Jericho and JR picture?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, supposedly that Jericho and JR have some involvement here, that maybe they might be brought on as an announcing team, JR in his traditional announcer role, and Jericho's the color commentator, which certainly...
I would not mind that at all.
I would love to see that. When JR is on his game, he's still one of the better announcers. And Jericho, there's no doubt...
Jericho's proven in and out of WWE, he is the alpha.
He can bring color to anywhere he goes, whether it be to a wrestling ring or to the announcers table.
And he's already had pre-established history with Cody, with Kenny, with the Young
Bucks.
With the Young Bucks. All of it.
All right. Do you want to bring us back up?
On top of which, the fact that he has now softened on his position of being in stateside companies that's not WWE. Because originally he said he wasn't going to do it out of respect for Vince, but now he's always talking with the Impact team and with Don Callis, and not to mention New Japan is spreading statewide as well, and he has ties with them. He is their current Intercontinental champion.
Right, and he's competing with and he's embroiled in a big time feud with Tetsuya Naito. Mm-hmm. So, again, I mean, this is just JR being JR.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, the fact that these rumors are coming out, the fact that he's going out of his way to dissuade them, it means, okay, yeah, there's obviously something going on here. Maybe he's a backer. Maybe he has an investment. Maybe they did want to bring him on as an announcer. And any way you look at it, I'd say good. Okay. If there's any mind that you would want to pluck for ideas on what to do and what not to do, like when running a promotion. I mean, JR was head of talent relations for years. If there's anyone you would want in a similar position, that sort of experience.
He doesn't have to be a commentator. Imagine if he was just like a behind the stage, or general manager. I know is a very negative term when you come to WWE, but if they are doing a televised show,
on-air authority figure,
yes.
JR would be a perfect fit.
Absolutely. Small segments where he doesn't have to overload and think too much.
Well, less a GM and more kind of like
and personality,
like Jack Tunney back in the day for the old WWF. Okay,
he shows up once.
He shows up every once in a blue moon. He's not a regular on-screen figure, but he's just there to let people know. Okay, like if there's gonna be a change, if they're announcing a big time match. I mean, just basically a smaller role, but one where he still gets some face time. People still acknowledge him and say, "Hey, it's JR." Okay,
exactly.
So I mean, basically, on-air authority figure that's not always on the air, unlike Stephanie, unlike Shane.
Not someone who tries pulling their weight.
Exactly.
Which is a great idea, personally, I think.
Right. So I think having these two obviously is a big pro.
Absolutely.
Having big names with big experience both on camera and off camera. You can't do much better than that. But speaking of on camera, now we talk about the different now we talk about the talent.
Yes. So we're avoiding highs and downers because it's been not much highs in terms of what's going on with WWE. I mean, you could talk about the passing of a few stars. We can talk about how the Raw's lowest ratings.
I mean, our respects do go out to the Dynamite Kid and his friends and family. Wish you nothing but the best. But
there's also the mentions of the NXT UK division and their contracts and how WWE are changing it to where they originally it seemed like they were broadening, but still at the same time helping the indie promotions in the UK area.
Basically locking down these various wrestlers to keep them from performing in promotions not under the WWE NXT umbrella.
Or if they're in a promotion, they're not allowed to wrestle against those who are associated with other certain promotions like Impact or Ring of Honor or New Japan.
Yes, because I mean, you look at Triple H looks at a partnership between WWE NXT UK and Progress Wrestling, which is based in the UK, and he sees that as a great partnership, an exchange of talents and ideals.
A businessman who has all the power will think this is a good investment because I have all the power here.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately, what's that old saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
So considering that means now we've lost people like Tyler Bate, people like Trent Severin, people like Pete Dunne. They're no longer allowed to wrestle against other guys. So forget about seeing Will Ospreay wrestling any of these guys.
No, never going to happen.
So, and not to mention the whole caveat of apparently WWE now has the authority to buy up and sell indie promotions in the UK at their leisure, which is a horrible and terrifying aspect.
Yes, because
which means that there's going to be a lot of indie wrestlers who need a new home.
I mean, that's a big case of amnesia for Vince right there, because Vince himself went on record after he spent all the time picking the best and brightest talent from all the different promotions, putting them out of business, and then realized that since there aren't any other promotions for these guys to, practice and get better, that WWE is going to have to be responsible for handling and training and building up every single one of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, having like promotions like FCW and NXT would help, but he realized the more you expand, the more promotions you need, the more feeder promotions you need, the more centers you need for developing these varied talents. Mm-hmm. I mean, Triple H realized that.
Oh yeah.
That's why we have NXT UK. That's why there's the rumored NXT Germany with the recent Walter signing. So obviously Triple H knows the score. He knows that we're gonna have to expand. That the Performance Center, for all intent and purposes, has been a successful model.
So, while all this is true, now we have to go back to AEW, and what do they have to do? With WWE securing talent and not letting them go, with the recent reports about them holding off on losing anybody.
Or updating contracts, locking down superstars into long-term contracts to keep them from having any ideas. There have been rumors of unnamed superstars looking to sign on with AEW come next April. And you would have to think that Vince is not outright tearing his hair out. He's at the very least mildly concerned about the fact that a number of his superstars want to jump ship.
Very true. So when it comes to AEW, they might miss out on a lot of WWE people, but this is what the benefit of making partnerships with Impact or Ring of Honor or New Japan, which is why Jericho is such a help because he's such good friends with Don Callis, is now you can borrow wrestlers and have them show what they can do here, and have them take on other people that you'll sign on.
I mean, look at what Impact has done with Phoenix and Pentagon Jr.
Yeah, Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix. Imagine them on AEW as a showcase.
Right, and look at All In with the debut of Bandito.
Mm-hmm. Is Bandito signed anywhere?
He's not.
There you go.
And here's another crazy idea. Okay, think about the women. Think about the women wrestlers. You understand. Get this. Coming out of the second Mae Young Classic, there is one superstar, one female wrestler that WWE, for some reason, unknown reason, has not signed to a contract. Meiko Satomura. She has not been signed. She could be a great figurehead for a women's division in AEW.
That'd be amazing.
She has a fantastic veteran presence. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt that if you get her, you can get. I mean, she heads the Bondi Girls. I mean, there's no doubt that she could be a great figurehead. She could be a great motivator for getting other women into the AEW promotion.
So you have your figurehead for the women's division. You have your figurehead for high flyers with Bandito. You have I'll say this, Joey Ryan. For entertainment value, sheer entertainment value alone.
Joey Ryan, Joey Janela.
Absolutely. What else we got? We got now. Okay, so while we're talking about this, we cannot.
AR Fox.
I was thinking about AR Fox before we came here. That'd be a great grab. That was a great match he had with Matt Riddle.
Brian Cage.
I forget his name, but he has the cape.
I'll I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
With the cape. Oh, you're not talking about Hurricane, are you?
No. Hey, that'd be fun, but no.
I mean, Marty Scurll, Hangman Page. I mean, members in and out of the league.
I mean, hey, if you're going to have a feud with the Bullet Club, have the the firing squad showing up.
Exactly. You talking about Tonga Loa. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could.
I mean, Cody's also has his feud with Nick Aldis from NWA.
Right. Then you have Jay Lethal, who he's feuding over with for the ROH World Championship. So you have so many crossover opportunities right here. All these different promotions, and like you said, it's all made possible with a proper talent exchange, with like equal sharing among these different promotions. So instead of having like a proverbial arms race, like having everyone up in arms over a new promotion coming to roost in the States. Instead, be happy that you have a promotion that's willing to have interpromotional bonds with all these other different promotions in and out of the United States.
Mm-hmm. And then it also comes to the method of how he wants to run this company. And this is something which I feel Cody's going to do, which not a lot of other people could do. Because
this is the method to Cody's madness.
When you go back to his All In promotion, you had tons of veteran guys in the back who were helping out, but they didn't think it was going to go far. The moment that they saw how good they had it, they went back and they tried to renegotiate their deal. But here's the thing. Cody said no to all of it because Cody's not part of the older generation of trying to weasel your way to the top spot. He is part of this generation which says kindness and generosity to everyone. Everyone gets over. Everyone gets a shot. You don't have more backstage clout than another individual. They have just as much a chance to be to the top as you, and you don't have to try and backstab each other to get there. I remember listening to Big Show on Busted Open Radio, and he was talking about how he doesn't like the new talent or the younger talent in WWE playing games or just goofing off in the back because that means they don't have that fire. But that mentality only stems from the fact that Vince McMahon runs that company, and Vince McMahon wants to make people backstab each other and use backstage politics to keep yourself up there.
Right. So what's the point? If everyone knows that only one guy is going to be over, what's the point? Okay, Brock Lesnar is Universal Champion. He's never in the locker room. He never shows up. What's the point of competing for a championship that literally does not exist?
Like, they understand the importance of having such a highly, sought after individual, but at the same time, there's no point trying to vie for the top if they know that they're not going to be put over someone like that.
Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't exist. It exists. It just doesn't have it doesn't have a presence.
Yeah.
It doesn't have as big a presence. What's the point of competing for a championship that no one really seems to care about because it's never on TV?
What CM Punk said, I've grabbed so many of Vince McMahon's imaginary brass rings that I finally realized that's all they are, imaginary.
Exactly. Okay, the rest of these wrestlers are going to wake up and realize, that these brass rings are imaginary. And the fact is, if they're imaginary and invisible, like the Universal Championship, guess what? They're going to realize that they could probably find greener pastures elsewhere. And the first chance they have, as soon as their contract's up, they're gone. Mm-hmm. Look at Neville. He got tired of waiting for his contract to run out. He just left.
He did.
And then just wait for the rest of his contract to run out. Then he goes up to Dragon Gate.
And he's now their champion.
Now he's their heavyweight champion. So, he's a proven success.
Let me put it this way. Neville, who everyone loved when he was in WWE, was their Cruiserweight champion, but because he was part of the Cruiserweights, he was no longer allowed to wrestle with the main roster. He leaves. Not only is he now the Dragon Gate's heavyweight champion. He now has a match against Will Ospreay, a match everyone wants to see, and it was the fastest sellout for Rev Pro that they've ever had.
Right, and
he's a bona fide star, and because Vince didn't see him,
he was a bona fide star 10 years ago, and he's still a star now. He's in fantastic condition, even more so than when he was in WWE, even before or in NXT.
Imagine Pac out of AEW.
The guy's ripped. You seen him?
Yeah.
I mean, good grief. I mean, and you even have them looking at talents that like we never even knew about. Like we're talking about a match that Zack Sabre Jr. had with some talent called A Kid. They in a Spanish promotion, and those two spent 25 minutes tearing each other apart, and AEW's thinking about signing him, and a virtual unknown. They are not just looking for the best and brightest. They are looking for anyone who they feel like can be a star if given the opportunity.
And we also mentioned about Neville leaving. What about WWE? Like we were mentioning, WWE talent who want to leave.
Right.
Whose contracts are coming up? We know that Gil Anderson are.
Right.
They're not doing anything.
Right.
Revival keeps getting beaten down.
Exactly.
And the Young Bucks have had a feud with them for a while going out too.
And here's the thing, and you look at a lot of these joke talents like Axel and Dallas, and I tell you, okay, you give them the proper motivation, you give them an opportunity to really like work on themselves, they could surprise you. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you could see talents like
B Team was over at the beginning because it was the Miz's underlings finally getting a chance for themselves.
And they succeeded, to everyone's shock, to my shock.
But here's the thing. It's all good until creative no longer has anything for you.
Exactly. And
what about the creative?
Right, and that's okay. There is the big one. There's the big pro. Here's the advantage that Cody, the Bucks, Omega have over Vince and the creative. Because here's the thing. You have at least 4, 5, maybe even more different creative minds in the elite, in others like Jericho, like JR, that can like come together and form a coherent, solid show, solid booking for all different characters.
Not to mention people who are willing to listen to their talent and where they think their characters can go.
Right. That's something I've talked about for years on this show. That the best promos, the best on-air talents were the ones who were allowed to express themselves. Basically, they would go to the writers, give them a list of bullet points, say, okay, here's a list of bullet points of stuff about my character, work with it. I mean, Mick Foley, when he was an announcer for SmackDown back, like for a cup of coffee, he'd go to the superstars. He would ask them questions about their character, like what makes them tick, what makes them happy, what makes them sad. Basically, runs a whole gamut of emotions. So he would know exactly what he was talking about every time he was at the commentary table and their music would hit. He would know exactly what to say and what to do. That's why his exchanges with Edge were so well done, especially their little SmackDown, their cutting edge segment before SummerSlam 2008. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's so very well. Mick Foley is one of the underrated promo artists of his time.
Always. Absolutely. So, just a quick mention. Remember when Roman had to leave because of leukemia? What did we say? We don't hate the man. We hate how he was booked.
We hate the creative process behind it. We said that even before he had to leave because of his diagnosis. Okay, we said, okay, the problem is that, and this is something you and I have come to a realization on. Okay, the creative process in WWE, it doesn't matter if there's one writer, doesn't matter if there's 5, doesn't matter if there's 10, doesn't matter if there's 50 writers all working, all toiling away. At the end of the day, before a show goes on, whether it's Raw or to a lesser degree SmackDown, because Vince does not pay as much attention to SmackDown, thank God.
It still goes through Vince.
The creative process reaches a stopgap at Vince and or Stephanie. That's it. There's no other way for the creative process to go through. It's one way, ends with Vince and Stephanie.
Yeah, you wonder why Stephanie never gets comeuppance? Because she makes sure she doesn't get comeuppance. She gets it once a year at WrestleMania.
Exactly, and even when she does get beat downs, like she did with Ronda, she just no sells them the next night. Baron Corbin gets the wits scared off him by by the demon Finn Balor at SummerSlam. No sells it the next night.
That I was not happy with at all.
That is why that's why no one can stand the heels that you see on television nowadays, and people just have no respect for the faces because they know that the heels are never going to get their true comeuppance like they deserve to.
Yes. Now, Cody has been pushing for something which has been going on behind the scenes way before he started wrestling. This is like back to the Jesse Ventura times. Cody is pushing for a wrestlers union.
It's what he's doing now. I mean, despite all the notions of okay, he's doing because he wants it to be another promotion. He wants it to be an alternative to WWE. That is very much true. He wants it to be alternative. He wants it to be something that wrestling fans can watch and enjoy on a weekly, if not daily, basis.
Very true. But
the big goal, the big overarching goal,
the best way to convince other wrestlers that the union is the way to go is to show a promotion which has it at its center, showing that it can thrive, and all of them without anyone trying to go against someone else because the fact they think they can get a better shake, or the fact that they think that they're not going to be properly represented. That is what a union does. A union makes sure that no one's going to be taken advantage of. They're going to be covered in case they get hurt. They're going to make sure that if you're there for the proper reasons, and no one can take advantage of you.
Exactly. I can say this, being a part of Local 25 Union in Boston. Hello to all my brothers out there. Being a part of Union is the best thing. They have your back. If you have a financial dispute with the company, they will have your back. They will fight for you. They will work to get you your just due, no matter how small, no matter how inconsequential it may seem.
So the issue with WWE is you can only overstep your bounds so far, because in the end of the day, Vince can choose to fire you, and you're technically an independent worker. That's why you pay for your own travel expenses,
your own travel arrangements, your own food, your own health insurance. Like basically, you get hurt, okay? Vince just tells doctors, "Oh, give him a Z-Pack."
That's yeah.
Yep.
The Z-Pack. That's the whole thing CM Punk was pissed about, because of the fact that he has his own health insurance, so the doctors really don't care. They're just going to do whatever they need just to patch you up.
Right.
A wrestlers union will cover all of that, where no one needs to worry about it ever again. And it will issue a new era.
Right. They'll cover finances. They'll cover travel arrangements. They'll cover health insurance. They'll provide for you and your family. They'll provide a 401k for your retirement years. And trust me, with wrestlers, that is an absolute necessity.
Very true. Imagine 2 or 3 years down the line after he had proven that a union works, and then when WWE goes talent hunting and they refuse to have a union in their WWE, that wrestlers turn them down left and right because they know that they're better off on the indie scene.
Exactly, because not only is it a viable option for them financially, but also personally, for the sake of their health, for the sake of the future of themselves and their families.
Imagine if the Rhodes family is the reason the wrestling goes into a new era, and WWE is behind the times.
Well, not to say that WWE isn't already behind the times.
Yes, but they won't be considered the forefront.
But a word of caution, something that the big con that that wrestling fans often fail to recognize at the start of one of these big time rumors is the fact that WWE got to where it is, okay, not overnight. Took decades.
Yes.
Decades. Were there a lot of underhanded tactics involved?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn right. Okay. I mean, stealing talent, putting other local promotions out of business. All right. Vince proved he was a very shrewd businessman, if not the best one around. Okay.
Yeah, there was during the territory times when there were agreements between the owners that we will not go here, we will not touch this. This is your area. We'll stick with ours. Vince just didn't even care. He grabbed what he needed and he worked with what he could grab.
Exactly.
And he got Hogan, Hogan, who was already a proven commodity somewhere else
From AWA.
from AWA, brought him over to him, and he made him the biggest star possible. And because they lost Hogan, AWA didn't do anywhere near as well as they could.
No.
You know, he grabbed Andre the Giant. He grabbed, you know, Ted DiBiase and all those guys.
Yes. And so that's a pitfall that AEW will need. That AEW. So you got me doing it now. That AEW will need to avoid when they come onto the scene by the end of next year, if not beginning of 2020.
It's not. Rome was not built in a day.
Exactly.
That is the phrase.
Do not get ahead of yourselves. Do not fall into the same pitfall of looking at these other promotions as competition. Look to them as your friends, as your family. Your union. You are brothers. You are one big family. You are not working against each other. You're working with each other. Remember, that's something that they're going to have to remember very well. Otherwise, okay, they're going to fall into the same foibles and the same bad habits that Vince and WWE fell into when Vince got put in charge of his father's company.
Imagine, just a random thought. Imagine he brings people who are not happy with their time in WWE, and he brings them on. Imagine like a one-time appearance of Alberto El Patron.
Oh.
A one-time appearance of Jack Swagger.
Don't mean Dick Strong.
I mean, these guys. Imagine Damien Sandow, Aaron Stevens,
Aaron Rex.
Stu Bennett,
Wade Barrel.
Wade Barrel. He's out here is getting ready to go back into the ring.
Yes, and we even saw his surprise role on Lucha Underground. No spoilers, people.
Rey Mysterio is not going to be there forever.
No, he's not.
I mean, these are the guys who are ready to go back out there and show, hey, look what you let go.
Exactly. So I wouldn't say that Vince has a lot to be concerned about right now. Again,
It's all speculation.
It's all speculation, planning stages, and all that pre-planning. But I would say that Vince should keep a very cautious eye on AEW in the coming year. Yeah. I would strongly suggest he do.
And get your wallet open in case guys say I need a bigger sum in order for me to stick around.
I need a raise, boss.
Boss, I got an offer. I think you need to double it.
All right, so.
But that's what we have to say for AEW. You know,
I mean,
best of luck, Cody. I hope this goes very well.
Mind you, this is a very, like you said, this is all pre-planning and rumor.
This is alpha stages here.
Alpha stages. So this is something that probably you are going to be covering for a while. Like I said, we're not going to know probably until this time next year. Like if anything is coming up for AEW.
Yeah.
But trust me, we will be keeping very close eyes. We'll be keeping very careful, close tabs on AEW and update you as needed. All right. So next week, episode 247, we have the TLC tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my! Pay-per preview view. And just before that, I didn't want to spoil until just now. Next week, on a very special edition of Otaku Gal, or as we're calling it, Otaku Kennection.
We're having a crossover, people.
We're having a big time crossover with the host and, of course, one of my good close friends, Sabrina Lewis.
I figure we mentioned now this is in celebration of TLC. Someone will be going through her table.
Probably me.
She'll do it to you.
Yeah, probably. If the crossover doesn't go off, well, yeah, I'm going through the table.
I'll make sure I have a contract ready to be signed.
Okay. Anyway, we will be having a very special crossover touching on the big time cultural phenomenon in Japan, Japanese wrestling, strong style, or as they call it, PRSU. So that's something to look forward to. So basically, you're gonna get back to back Ken.
I'll probably be there too.
Yes, Dan will be there too. Everyone will be there. Gonna have a big week next Friday. Cannot wait. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. Like I said, next Friday afternoon. I believe we'll be having an early start time for the Otaku Connection at 2 o'clock. Then you and I will be following right up at 3. So, I better bring a lunch because I'm gonna be here a while. All right, but anyway, for Dan Kaufman and for Katie behind the in the out of control room today. I am Ken Hill of Bedford TV and the Wrestling Connection. Wishing you a safe and happy weekend. Safe shopping out there. Remember your coupons, and remember, as always, to be connected,
Get connected,
and stay connected. You have a good weekend, folks.
Play us out, Cody Frog.
To ignore it. It's some things that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it. The Wrestling Connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and me.